Welcome to Podcast 160. Why won't superintendents go home? Let's talk about that today.
This is the Elevate Construction Podcast, delivering remarkable content for workers, leaders, and companies in construction wanting to take their next step. Get ready to step out of your comfort zone with Jason Schroeder as he encourages you to do better, live a remarkable life, and expect more. Let's go.
Welcome, everybody, today to our podcast for superintendents. Today, we're going to talk about why will superintendents not go home. And I've covered some of this content before. Don't let me lose you. Stay with me. But I've covered some of this before when I talk about the Winning Teams series. But today, I'm going to put it all together into a formula and explain the why. Because if we have team health, if we have a balance on the project side, and if we have proper communication systems, then we can really have a team that isn't over capacity. And so the first thing I do want to say that pertains to superintendents is that if you can get the team balanced and go home on time, that's one part of it. But the other part of it is actually the personal organization of the superintendent, him or herself. So if they're used to working 55, 60, 65, 70 hours in a week and have never learned delegation, visual and verbal communication, they've never learned how to organize with a personal organization system, they've never time blocked their week and made sure that they have a weekly work plan for themselves. If they don't have leader standard work, then there might not be team balance and health, right? So if you implement this, just realize that if you don't get full results, the team also has to have a personal organization system, which I can help you with. But this system will really make it to where people can go home. There is a balance that is possible, and there is health there that can take place. And if anybody wants to learn more about leader standard work, personal organization systems, and things like that, I have podcast episodes on those. So I'm excited about this. I'm excited about today's podcast. And another thing I'm excited about is I heard of yet another company that is putting together superintendent training. And I am excited to share what I've learned with them so that they can develop something in-house that's fantastic because, again, we need to take care of our wonderful superintendents. It's been so long since we've had remarkable training for them, and so I love it when I see companies going and taking the next step and our ability to share. And if somebody wants to participate in the superintendent boot camps that we do at Elevate Construction, that's obviously always an option. And so I'm excited about that. And in going through some of those things that we were talking about, that I was talking about with that company, I realized some of the nuances of training superintendents or remembered back to them some of the things that we've experienced in these boot camps and in general training. And I really hit back on this really a rather inspired topic about how to get the superintendents to go home, because if we can't get team health and team balance, then we won't have time for them to do training. And so a lot of the training managers, HR specialists, leaders, general superintendents, leaders of companies, owners of companies are like, yeah, I would do this training. I would train my supers, but they're so darn busy. They'd kill me if I added one more thing. And so my suggestion was immediately, hey, let's go ahead and get this system implemented first, and then they will have the time to do the training and be better and sharpen the axe, sharpen the saw, like Stephen Covey used to say. So that's what we're going to talk about today. And here's some conflict for you. You need to go home. You need to make sure that your team is balanced and that team has health and that team has coverage systems so that they can go home. And let me tell you a quick story. So this team health system, and I do call it a system because it's applied as an overall system. If you apply the parts, it doesn't work as well as somebody would want or expect. If you apply this system, then you can get remarkable results. I remember going to a project site with a very, very experienced general superintendent, and that superintendent was considered, very, very knowledgeable, very opinionated, very, you can't trick me, can't fool me, can't, show me new things kind of a guy. He's actually a fantastic human being. But when we presented this system to him, he was actually pretty open and said, after 2 divorces and after about 30 years in construction management, this is the first time that anybody has come up to me and said that there is a system to make sure that we can go home on time and have a work-life balance, and has actually shown how to do it. This system works. It's absolutely amazing. So On that project, he implemented worker huddles. He implemented foreman huddles. He implemented the superintendent walks with a form of zero tolerance. He implemented these communication systems. He implemented the coverage system for the team. He implemented these things and got the project to a point where he could go hunting. He could go do his, obviously on PTO days, he could go do his doctor's appointments. It was a tough job, and they were finished well. And it was a really difficult project with lots of change orders, but still the team was balanced at the end, and it was a fantastic experience, at least for those who implemented the system, and that was the majority of the team, and especially for him. And so I go back to that story all the time and how successful it was. It also worked for me at the research laboratory. It worked for me at the pharmacy for any projects where I've been general superintendent or field director. It's absolutely fantastic. So let me take you through this training right now and show you how it all applies together. And so I know I've talked to you about a couple of these things before, but let me do it again in a system applied together. Everything starts with team balance. Improvement, customer satisfaction, operational control, profitability, and safety, they all have their start in team balance and the health of the team. And so, again, I do want to say that starting with episode 40, there is a winning team series that if you want to check out that series of 10 podcasts, those podcasts go into more depth with specific topics. But what I'm going to cover today are some principles. Team coverage is essential to having a good work-life balance or a work-life blend. Team coverage must be intentional. It will not happen naturally. Effective team meetings with good attendance and a natural agenda are essential to making it intentional. A day plan that is visual, that comes from a daily huddle, is the key to ensuring folks scheduled to cover work can cover work. No coverage schedule or plan will work unless people know what to manage or cover, and that is the key for superintendents being able to go home on time, because they will not leave unless they know for a fact that what they need done from a schedule standpoint is going to get done and will be covered, and there's a safety presence in the field, and everyone's heading in the same direction. And the plan for the day plan is key to that. Here are some more principles. Training is good. Babysitting is bad, and it should be stopped at almost any cost. Zero tolerance systems save money, time, lives, and capacity. Grade all contractors on site to keep the team accountable and to keep trade partners doing their work so the superintendent and the project management team do not have to do that work. And then obtain operational control by winning over the craft, holding people accountable, and creating stability on site. And so the first step really for us is to agree on our weekly meeting system. Some people will say, hey, I don't like meetings. I'm going to avoid them. If you've ever read Death by Meeting or heard me preach about this at any time, you know that I believe if there's a good, strong team weekly tactical, if there's a good, strong strategic planning and procurement meeting where you update the schedule, and then good afternoon foreman huddles and worker huddles where you can scale communication all the way to the people that need it, then you can have a fantastic system. And if they're run properly with the right communication, everyone headed in the right direction, then the superintendent does not need to be out in the blank space, meaning the time when meetings are not scheduled, pointing fingers, babysitting, arguing, yelling, redirecting, doing those things, creating chaos. It's a standard and stable system because everyone sees as a group, knows as a group, and acts as a group. So there are templates on my website at elevateconstructionist.com, but I would strongly recommend that one of the first things that you do on your project site is the weekly meeting system, and make sure that you have remarkable agendas. And so I also have on that graphic, it's actually a sign that you can order once you decide what your meeting system is for your project. There's a sign that you can order where it tells you what is the goal for each individual specific meeting. The main thing for us, though, is the team meeting agenda. So here's a suggested agenda. Number 1, the lightning round. Number 2, PTO coverage and Saturday coverage. Number 3, review the weekly coverage schedule for people covering on a weekly basis. And then a reminder about no meeting days and that we need to schedule meetings around those no meeting days. A topic about discussing the customer experience, and then going into the quality point of release chart where we discuss quality as an applied system, as a project management system on our project sites. If you need help with that, please let me know. I've got a blog post about that and I can help you personally. Then cover things like schedule, safety, cost, budgeting, and then close with a teaming moment and a team message. Scale that clarity. But the first couple of things, if you notice, are PTO, Saturday coverage, weekly coverage, and a reminder about no meeting days. And that is how we get this team balance concept on the forefront of our minds. One of the key things that we have to do is to make sure that we have a good team coverage schedule. And again, there's a sign formatted for you on the website free of charge. You can even order it through Fast Signs if you want, without any additional formatting or emails or anything else like that. So on the top of it, it shows Monday through Friday. And it has little columns for people where you put their initials in there, and then on Monday, they draw a line. Like, let's say I work from 5 to 5 on Monday. I draw a line in my column. Tuesday, I work from 6 to 4, okay? Wednesday, my wife really wants me home at 3, so I work from 5 to 3 p.m. Thursday, she's like, I don't care if you ever come home, you can work late. So I write 6 a.m. to 7 p.m. That's my late night. Friday, she's like, you better be home at 2 or I'll murder you. So I go from 5 a.m. to 2 p.m. in the afternoon, and I mark that on my line. And then the next person does theirs, and the days will likely be different. And the next person, and the next. And then you start to see a pattern for who really needs to be going home on a certain day and who's going to cover. Because if somebody's covering and they know they're going to cover, then if I'm supposed to be home with mom at 2 o'clock and to go coach Johnny's baseball team, I know that I can do that. So that coverage system should be standard. Our standard work is created from it, and it allows us to make sure that the right people are covering. So if somebody's covering for Monday, they might do orientations. They might even open up the gate. Maybe they come in late. Maybe somebody else opens the gate. But at a minimum, we know that they're there covering certain things like orientation, maybe a safety walk, and then closing the gates. And then at night, if there's a snowstorm or a earthquake or a monsoon, maybe you're in Arizona or whatever, that person is watching the webcams that night and covering it would come in and lead that effort. Meaning they are covering that day for the orientation, the safety walk, the closing up the gate, making sure everything's locked up 100%. If a trade partner has to stay late, they cover and watch them, and they would cover at night, be on call in case of a natural disaster, right? How fantastic is that? Otherwise, superintendents think they need to do it all by themselves. And that's just not the way things should be. You're going to burn somebody out that way. So then at the bottom, there's a January through December calendar, which is formatted really nicely, where you can cover PTO and coordinate that in a visual place. So this sign is fantastic. You've got to order this if you don't have this to make sure that your project management team is working properly. So I'm not going to take up too much time with some of these detailed principles. I will tell you one by one what these principles are. And then there will be an online training series for this, a boot camp that we do online that's virtual that you guys can go ahead and take to get more and more information and see this actually visually in person if you want. But the principles we want you to follow in a team are get to know each other, do personality profiles, create safe pathways for communication, encourage healthy conflict, make sure that you have healthy partnerships with, from FE to PE, superintendent to PM. Make sure the entire team espouses the concept of transparency. We have to have effective team meetings. Those team meetings have to encourage good team coverage. We have to know what to cover with a day plan, and then check in with team health survey every now and then, maybe every month, maybe every quarter, and then do a fresh eyes meeting from a schedule, risk, finance, quality, and safety standpoint, maybe once a quarter, maybe every 6 months, but at least at the 2/3 and 1/3 point milestones in your project. And every team needs a significant performance challenge and understanding of the need for performance. They need a performance ethic on site. Every individual needs to understand how they tie into that. And we have to have the discipline of daily removing roadblocks, planning and communicating daily for the next day, having safety walks and enforcing safety, and communicating well, overly communicating to trades and workers. And the basic concepts for any team is to have it be the right size, to increase proximity, to have a nicely done organization chart that is not hierarchical, to understand what the purpose of the project and the team is, to have the time to plan ahead of time in pre-construction, and to make sure that in any interactions we have conflict and accountability. And on here I have a little visual that talks about the phases of a team. A pseudo team does not have a performance goal. A potential team has a goal but doesn't have accountability. A real team is a team that holds themselves mutually accountable. And a high-performance team holds themselves accountable and is deeply committed to each other's personal growth. And if you don't have a coverage system, if you don't get people home on time, and if you don't know their personalities, and if you don't know their career goals, how can we be deeply committed to each other's personal growth and success? And so there's a sign, and it's called Principles. It's titled Team Principles, that you can order for your project as a reminder. Now, the weekly work plan is key because that then leads into day plans. And if you have a foreman huddle, we have an agenda for that, and a worker huddle, and we have an agenda for that, and a sign that you can just print out, then you can create what's called the day plan, or the plan for the day. And you've heard me talk about this before, and there are podcasts on this, but the day plan is critical because if the foreman and the superintendents and the field engineers and the project engineer and the PM, if everyone doesn't see the plan for the day, then that superintendent is not going to release control. And we're not going to have the capacity, along with his or her personal organization system, to then go do training and to get better at our positions and to run lean and integrated projects. So the plan for that day, and you probably expected me to say it, I've got a board formatted ready for you to go. Usually they're 4x8 sheets. It's printed on an expo cover there with formatted squares and columns. The agenda is to do shout outs, get feedback, talk about the safety focus for the day, any needed permits and inspections, deliveries and where they're going, training, meaning there's a training topic for the day, a discussion of what key activities have to happen in the area, and a discussion on weather. And so if that is all visual, with visual maps, with visual communication, and it's clear with times, the hoist is stable, the deliveries are stable, the cleanliness is stable, the organization is stable, the inspections are stable, everything's stable, then you can have operational control and the team can have a good balance. And for operational control, there are some supporting systems that you have to have in place, and I'll cover that right now. Number 1, you have to have remarkable bathrooms for the craft. Number 2, a decent lunchroom for the craft. You have to require perfect cleanliness at all times. No more composite cleanup crews. Shut down the companies that don't organize and clean and hold them accountable. Require a safe site. Consider a zero tolerance policy for safety rules. And then schedule deliveries and stick to them. Turn back deliveries that are not on time and use a scheduling system. Make all lay down a coordinated item in the huddles and do not allow random staging. All just-in-time deliveries for everything. Everything historically that's difficult, like rebar, steel, pipe, glass equipment, they all have to have the right inventory buffer size, and they have to be put in the right spot. And if that kind of stability exists, again, coverage and team balance is possible. How much time do we spend just moving stuff that takes us from what we're supposed to be doing? The last couple of steps here are key, and you cannot ignore this. You have to grade your contractors on site. You have to. If you don't have to, but if you want team balance, you have to do this. And so grading your key performance indicators weekly, and then identifying and posting your A and F players on the conference room wall, in addition to grading yourself, is key. And again, I've got a template for you, and there's a nice board formatted for A players, F players, and the circle of trust. The last thing that I would say here is to begin training others to host these meetings once they're remarkable. Do not attend meetings where you are not essential. Meaning if the PM is like, oh, I'm going to go to the worker huddle now, and I'm going to go to the team huddle and this, and stay late and work till 6 o'clock, we're just going to burn people out. Go to the right meetings. Stop doing wasteful or unneeded work on your project team. Trust your team to do their roles and to cover. Offset field and office hours for coverage, meaning if the field comes in early and the office wants to come in a little bit late, make sure your huddle systems work. Make sure that your huddle systems work to where the meetings where you have to be together work. That's another reason why I like the foreman huddles being in the afternoon, because everybody is there and the PE can come in and talk about procurement and cover for each other and hold each other accountable to leave at their agreed upon time. In fact, I'm going to lunch today with my favorite project manager. Actually, he's got a different role now, but my favorite PM of all time. And when I used to say that I was going home and I didn't go, he was like, he'd stand at my desk and say, Schroeder, why aren't you going? Give me whatever you need. Go. You need to go home. And the accountability of the team was really the only thing that made me go home. The other thing is if you have field engineers or PEs or new people on your project site, you need to tell them to go home because they're going to stay as long as you stay just to impress you, to get a feeling of significance and think they're doing well. The other thing is you have to grade the team health periodically and make sure that you are balanced and check in on the pulse of the team. Now, this is all in a PowerPoint. This will all go into the team health series. In February, I'll have this out, so you won't have to wait for it for too long. You'll be able to go through it. It'll be on Kajabi. It'll be absolutely fantastic. But this is all key for superintendents that want to get time to go do the training that they need to be remarkable superintendents. And the current condition is that supers don't trust anyone. They work too many hours, and they don't have time to do training, and the training is preventing them from running more remarkable projects. So let's get this done. Let's implement this system. Reach out to me or steal it from the podcast. Don't ever reach out to me if you're like, I don't like Jason. Steal the information or ask me for it in an email. You don't even have to talk to me. I'll give it to you. The glimpse for this is that we get teams set up to where they can go do the training and live a remarkable life. On we go.
Please join us next time in elevating the entire construction experience for workers, leaders, and companies coast to coast. If you're enjoying the show, please feel free to share with your construction colleagues and help us spread the word by rating, subscribing, and leaving a review on your preferred podcast listening platform. We really appreciate it. We'll catch you next time on the Elevate Construction Podcast.